Welcome back to another YouTube video. We're going to be looking at forms of businesses today. I'm going to get straight to it and just give you the points you need as I usually do. All I ask for is a subscribe and also the like of the video and to share with others who are doing A-level business or just want to learn about business in general. So firstly, let's look at different legal types of businesses. You have a sole trader, an individual trading in their own name or under a trader name. It could be a plumber, a shopkeeper, consultant. An advantage is the freedom. They get to choose when they want to work and be their own boss. Profits, they get to keep all the profits and decide what to do with them. However, disadvantage is the time. They may have to work many hours at first, usually more than a normal 9 to 5, and they have unlimited liability. So the sole trader is responsible for all debts of the firm because the firm's identity and the sole trader is seen as one. So the sole trader is at risk of losing their personal assets. They can't pay back any debts. Then you have a partnership. It's like a sole trader, but it includes 2 to 20 people running a firm. An advantage of this is that the time working is shared as there's more people. Also, staff can use their different expertise to benefit the firm, which can add value and allow it to become better. So one person may do accounting, another person may be good at marketing. Also business can become a limited company. They could be a private or public limited company. A private limited company, the owners have to agree before anyone can buy or sell shares, whereas a public limited company, anyone can buy shares. The shares are publicly traded on the stock market. Companies also usually pay dividends to shareholders. Dividends are a proportion of the profits earned by the company which are paid out to shareholders. And the more shares you own, the more dividends you receive. Just bear in mind that these are legal types of businesses, like how the government sees them as a sole trader, partnership, private or public limited company. The next slide, we're going to be looking more into depth about private and public limited companies. So make sure you know everything on this slide first before moving on. So, as I stated, you have a private and public limited company. An advantage of the private limited companies is the firm can sell shares to fund growth, and this capital doesn't have to be paid back unlike a loan. Furthermore, an LTD has limited liability. The legal identity is different between the owners and the firm, so more financial risks are taken because the owner's assets are protected. People may be willing to invest more because they know that they can only lose the amount of money invested. However, disadvantage is that there's lots of paperwork. Um, Private limited companies are legally obliged to publish their accounts each year, so competitors can monitor their performance. LTDs also may find it harder to get loans from the bank because the bank knows that the owners aren't risking their personal assets. This means that the bank may not be able to get their money back if the firm fails. And lastly, the LTD you have to pay dividends if they sell shares, which may mean less profits. Now, obviously, you have public limited companies as well. If an LTD grows, they might opt for stock market flotation. This is when a business publicly sells shares on the stock market for the first time. Generally speaking, they have similar advantages. A PLC, they can raise a lot more capital because they're selling that compared to LTD because they're selling shares to anyone. Also, it's a higher prestige and more awareness for the firm, which can be more see them as more established and trustworthy and more sales. Now, there's a few disadvantages. The PLC will need to generate huge profits to pay back large amounts of dividends. Also, share prices are influenced by the national and global economy. So this means that the owners have less control over the share price than the LTD, which can make the PLC vulnerable. In addition, supply and demand affect the share value. If a firm does good, demand for the share increases, which means that the values of the share increases because more people buy them, and then the opposite if the firm performs bad. And lastly, they have to as well publish their financial statements. Make sure you know what the difference is between those two and the advantages and disadvantages. And remember, sole trader, partnership, and both private and public limited companies are legal types of businesses that the government sees. In the previous slides, we looked at legal types. Now we're just going to look at different types of businesses. You can have different structures. So now, first, I have a franchise. This is an agreement which allows an entrepreneur to use the business name, idea, and reputation of an established business to trade. In return, the entrepreneur usually has to pay the established business an initial fee and ongoing royalty payments, which are usually a percentage of the profits. An advantage of this, it may be less riskier because business people will recognize the established firm. This means that it's less likely to fail. Also, the franchisor, so the established business, will offer training and guidance to the franchisee. That's the entrepreneur that's buying the franchise. However, disadvantage, it may be expensive to start up and the entrepreneur may lose profits through royalty payments. And the franchisor may be strict and not give the entrepreneur freedom to make their own decisions. Then you have an online business, so businesses that trade through the internet. It's low cost and it can be done from anywhere. However, it may require good IT skills, which some people lack. And lastly, a lifestyle business, so that focuses on profit satisfaction, lower startup cost, and can give the entrepreneur freedom. Now, all of above are just different types, where the previous slides with sole trader partnership, private and public limited company, they're legal ownerships, they're legal types that the government recognizes. Make sure you understand that those four in the last two slides are legal ownerships, and these are just different types and structures. Apart from that though, that's the end of the video. Hopefully it's helpful with me just giving you the points, the definitions you need to know. All I ask for is a subscribe and like, and maybe share with your friends that do A-level business. And also, if you don't do A-level business, and this is just here to help you to get the basics, that's still perfectly fine.